Hello everyone, it's Jay here from the Trading Court Podcast, a Pokemon TCG podcast bringing you anything and everything Pokemon TCG related. If you are looking for Pokemon TCG competitive decks ready to go, including GLC decks, please head over to pokedex4u.com. Pokedex4u has a variety of decks ready for sale, with each deck being fully customizable and bespoke to your needs. Use the code TrainingCourtTCG for 5% off your first order. Now let's get on to the episode. Hello everyone and welcome to the Trading Court, a Pokemon TCG podcast about anything and everything Pokemon TCG related. Jay here, and I'm joined by my fellow co-hosts Andy, Al and Kath. Hello.
Hello.
Evening. Hello.
Evening or morning, depending when you're listening to this.
Or afternoon.
Another week in the Pokemon TCG world. We've had some more reveals of upcoming sets. We were obviously full in the swing of the Obsidian Flames meta, and we've also got our first regional of the season coming up. So it's lots of to talk about and loads of exciting stuff coming up. So I thought best to start with what we've been playing this week. So I'm going to start with Al.
Hey everyone. So I've been playing. I've moved away from Gardevoir because I went to a challenge in the end of August after Obsidian Flames format, and I figured everyone was going to be playing Charizard, so I thought, well, I'm not going to play Gardevoir. Which, having said that, online Gardevoir's actually still been doing well, and Charizard not so much. So whatever. But anyway, I was going to bring a Regidrago V-Star, and I backtracked on that. And I actually saw a deck on Twitter that it was Arceus with Pidgeot. It's basically an Arceus deck, just using Arceus like the old Arcinteleon. But it also had Radiant Greninja with a Poppy from Obsidian Flames and an energy switch. So you can load up your energy as you do with Arceus onto your Arceus. At some point in the game, then you just get out the Poppy using Pidgeot, and you manually attach to the Greninja, and then use Poppy to put 2 energy from one of your Arceus to the Greninja, and then you just switch or retreat into the Greninja, and you can hit for 2. Because Arceus, I play a heavy count of Lost City. It came in really, really useful in my challenge run. I played against a Gardevoir and a Chien-Pao. The Chien-Pao actually I pathed, and they just dead drawed, and they couldn't get out of it. But against the Gardevoir, I actually after my Trinity Nova attack, which was I had Lost City out. Then the next turn I got out I did my Greninja attack, and it's actually very easy to get it off the Greninja. So I Greninja'd his 2 of his Curliers into the Lost Zone. So he had 3 of his routes in the Lost Zone, and all he had was his Gardevoir EX, and yeah, so that was pretty easy.
What does Poppy do again? Does that move the
Poppy
energy?
moves 2 energy from one of your Pokemon to another of your Pokemon.
Okay, that's quite good.
So you can also combo it with energy switch if you don't have the attachment for turn. So I play 1 energy switch and 1 Poppy, and it's really, really potent. Literally everyone that I was playing against didn't put Manaphy out, regardless of whether I had Radiant Greninja in, because they just figured that I'm not going to use Radiant Greninja with Arceus. The one guy that started with Manaphy, I managed to boss Lost City away. It's just you can just get any card you want that's what Pidgeot's like. But considering you also have an Arceus, heavy Arceus, it also plays 2 Sharing Cares. So it's essentially, if you can't get knocked out, also play V-Guard to help me with the Giratina matchup and the Lugia matchup. So if they're not knocking me out, which most of the time they're not, unless they start Requieming, then I just Pidgeot for the Sharon's Care and just keep looping it, and it's really good. I ended up I did lose 2 games and I won 3. I lost against a Lugia, because they sometimes Lugia, they just get set up and you just can't beat them. I actually played the Beedrill Mustard Colonel Mustard line, and unfortunately in my turn 1 I had to Ultra Ball 2 Beedrills for, I think it was for either for an Arceus V-Star or an Arceus Vios, or it was for an Arceus Pidgey. and I was like, well, I need Arceus.
It can be hard to pull
so
off that combo.
The
mustard Beedrill.
It can be, yeah. I think with the Pidgeot being able to, I played it a bit online, and I did manage to be honest, even when I did manage to get the Beedrill out, I had a training session with Jesper Eriksson just before joining this podcast. To those who haven't used Metify, it's really great to get coaching from great players, and Jesper Eriksson is really good, so I highly recommend getting a coaching session. I know Jay's had one with him as well. So I had a coaching session with him, and he suggested taking the 2 Beedrill, the 2 Mustard out, and putting in an extra box of Disaster. So I played box of Disaster because he said he played against an Arceus when he was playing Giratina. I think it was at Worlds, and the player put a box of Disaster on his active Arceus and then a box of Disaster on his benched Arceus, and he wasn't expecting it. And he just knew that regardless of who he hit into, he'd be getting 80 for the knockout, because Giratina is actually quite hard matchup for the Arceus, because you never get in the return KO really. You're always having to 2-hit KO it. So that, and Shaman as well. Melanie is very useful in the deck because it plays water. It's just a really, really fun, solid deck. Highly recommend checking out just Arceus by itself with Pidgeot, Radiant Greninja, Poppy package. Yeah, it's really, really fun and actually quite potent.
Oh, sounds good. Sounds good. Andy, have you been playing much this week?
Not this week, no. Last time we played was last week. We went to locals at Fanboy, and we took the dog for the first time.
What did the dog play? What was his deck?
As if
What was his
playing
deck
Pokemon
choice?
wasn't stressful enough. We
Yeah.
took a 6-month-old puppy to a shop.
Full
With-
of people.
Full
Yeah,
of people with another dog as well there.
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
was just worried that he was going to run off. There was loads of people playing Warhammer.
Oh, and
And
just jump
I
onto
can
the.
imagine him running over to these figures that people have slaved over for hours to paint,
Yeah.
and he just goes and robs one. Like,
He was
he was
all right.
good.
Yeah.
Ish.
He just wanted to see everyone.
Yeah.
All the Warhammer players. When we let him off lead, he was just trotting off, saying hello to everyone. Yeah, but yeah. So I played.
So did you-
that concludes the puppy section.
Yeah.
Now
I
to
played
Pokemon.
Chen Pao, and I changed. I thought, because I'd played that weekend previous, and I had a really crap time with it. So I thought, I'm just going to change it up a bit. So I added the Palkia and the cross switchers. Took out Mew. And I had an even worse time with it. So I drew the
Mew's
first
quite
match.
needed, isn't it? I think Mew's
Yeah.
quite necessity for. It's not
Yeah,
just for the Battle VIP pass, isn't it? For know,
Rare candies.
for rare candies for everything really.
Energy
It's
retrieval,
quite
yeah.
handy.
I was trying to just get it as consistent as possible, but when I was playing, I think I was playing David, and he just paffed me, and that was it. It was game over. Couldn't do anything. Couldn't use Chen Pao. Couldn't use Pidgeot. Yeah. And I think I ended up scooping with I think I started okay, and then as soon as I think his turn 2, he put the path down, and that was it. He just steamrolled me.
I always think to when using Pidgeot to just maybe like a turn to preemptively just go and get a stadium. Even if you don't use it.
Yeah.
But then I guess they can just.
But I think
Iona, you're anything, yeah, Judge.
Yeah, if I remember right, I think I didn't have the Pidgeot set up, but when he put the path down, and then I had it ready to go the turn after, but then I just couldn't bump the path. And I play 3 stadiums. But
to be honest, at least with me, and I think with Jay as well. I mean, I play 4 stadiums, 2 workers. and sometimes you still get path
yeah.
to
In
doom.
Guardi, I play 3 stadiums and 2 workers.
Yeah.
And I lost. Oh, well, I've reduced actually in this current meta. I've reduced worker count to 1, included a lost vacuum. That's purely for.
It's still a path.
It's still
I
a
was
path,
thinking
but
of
it's
maybe
mainly for
putting,
vengeful punch.
Maybe putting in like letter of encouragement.
Yeah.
So if I do get pathed, I can still attack.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea. Kath, what did you play when you weren't watching on Puppy Watch?
Clefairy, and it was really frustrating because in the it was best of 1, and in the games that it mattered, it just didn't come off. But then because I got absolutely rinsed and we had loads of time left and we'd play a second game, it would pop off. And
it's typical, isn't it?
The people that I was playing against were pretty stunned. It's like, that's what it's meant to
That's
do.
what it can do. That's what it can do. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I had the exact same. So I did play at locals at Fanboy this week. And I decided to pick up Lugia one more time.
Why? Why?
I've played a lot of Guardi. I've played a lot of Gardevoir. And it was the only other deck that was built. I didn't have time because I got back from holiday on Saturday night. Sunday was all about getting my little one ready for first day of school, and then Monday was basically unpacking and everything. I took it off from work, and then Monday evening is where I played, and I was like, oh, I just can't go over playing Guardi. Oh, I'll play Lugia. Yeah, I played David as well this week.
With
and he decided to pick up.
Is he playing Reggie Drago?
No, he changed. He actually borrowed his brother's deck of Fusion Mew.
Right.
And it was the first time he'd ever played it. And I actually had a really good start, but I couldn't physically get another Lugia out, and he ended up bossing me up. I had on his second turn, he ended up bossing up my only Lugia and knocking it out. And I had in my hand, then after that I had Lugia V-Star, and I had 2 energies, and I had the 2 Archeops in the bin, but I just didn't have the extra Lugia, so it was literally over. And then second game, because like you, Kath, we had so much time left because he did that on his turn too. And I was like, well, that's me, my game. My next draw was like gifted energy. I was like, right, this is pointless. So I scooped, and we played. We ended up playing 3 games in that half an hour because of how quick the games were. Because game 1 he steamrolled me because I couldn't get a second Lugia out. Took game 2, I absolutely battered him. I took his Mew VMAX out twice, like with Tyranitar, and I was able to literally just get another Tyranitar, earn a Vitality, boom, second one gone.
Yeah.
Then the third game, I mean, that we didn't. I think I was doing the same again on the third game. So, and then that's when we got the next pairings. Second game I won against a single prizer, was no problems. Then I played a Lost Box, but a new variation of Lost Box. So it was the Sable Zard, but had some interesting techs in it. So it's Ollie Elwick, who's a really good player, really good player, really good friend of ours as well. Ollie was playing a variation of Sable Zard that ran Bidoof in it, which I've just seen a video from Omnipoke. So Joe from Omnipoke has actually just put a video out recently about Bidoof in Lost Box, and he loves it.
Why?
Absolutely
Why
rates it.
What is it? Which Bidoof?
It's just. Well, not Bidoof, sorry, Bibarel.
Bibarel.
Obviously, Bibarel. So Bibarel, obviously, get the, no matter what, you got your draw. So even if you get Iono to 2, you go up to 5, then you've got your Comfies for drawing. You can get your hand size back up pretty quick, actually, to be fair. So he teched in a Caesar from Obsidian Flame, which against Lugia was phenomenal, because you got to think, I had on the bench, I had 2 Lugia V-Stars, 2 Luminions, and Radiant Serena. That was 5 Pokemon, all with abilities, and it does 50 for one metal energy, 50 for each Pokemon that's got an ability. So it's hitting 260 for 1 energy. It was pretty busted.
I saw a list, I think it was today, or yesterday. People are playing Mimic UV.
I've seen Mimic UV, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I've seen Mimic UV play as well. That's I did see a list. Yeah, that's
It might have been Alex
was it dummy? It's for the dummy doll ability, isn't it? And then also you can then attach it for. You can attach the forest seal stone as well. So you've got attachment because I think some versions of Lost Box don't even play Vs.
And
so I know
I think it's damage counters. I think it's you place damage counters for the attack.
That's right, yeah. And then because obviously I think the turbo version of it plays Drapion, Raikou, and Dragon Knight Vs, whereas I think the Sablezard doesn't. Some of them don't even play Drapion. I don't think when I played Ollie's list, I don't think he played a single V.
No.
So, but then unfortunately my hand was absolutely horrendous. I had to Luminion for Iono turn 2. So I lost my turn 1. So because it was so I had to look Iono for turn 1, and then my hand was still so bad that I had to Professor's Research turn 2, and I still was only managed to get 1 Archeops in the bin. But it got close. It got close because obviously single prizes, and I was basically trying to mill his deck with Tyranitar. So it was close. But yeah, I do want to put Lugia down now.
You're not playing Burnett?
Yeah, played 2 Burnett's, yeah. But it was too late. I was too late in the game. I didn't have a ball search for it as well. It's rough. Lugia is rough. Like when Lugia pops off, it pops off, but when it doesn't, it doesn't. I even tried a variation of it. So because I mean, realistically, when Lugia's done summoning star, you can be paffed and it's no issue. Apart from the Minion, you can paff. So I actually put 2 versions of paff in my deck to try and path other people, and it just never came off. I don't know. Lugia,
people are putting what's it called back in the dog? What's his name? The one that takes an extra prize.
Stoutland. I saw Stoutland. Yeah, I saw Stoutland.
Is it a mitt or something that hits fire Pokemon for an extra 30 or something? So you can take out Charmanders
and get 2 prizes for it. Yeah. I've seen that, and I've also seen a rare. It's just a hollow rare. I don't think it's even a hollow. It might be just a non-hollow rare from Silver Tempest, Cobalion.
Oh yeah.
That is being put into some Lugia decks as well because it basically lets you hit. It's got an ability. The ability is it lets you hit if it's on the bench. Your opponent's dark type Pokemon take 30 more damage. So all of a sudden, Tyranitar. I think Tyranitar with 4 urns. It's not 4 urns. So 4 energies attached to it, or single strike energies or anything. I think it basically lets you get the one hit knockout on Charizard EX. But I mean that probably leads us into probably the next bit of conversation. Really, I know we have discussed Obsidian Flames, but we've got obviously the first regional of the season coming up. Really excited to see it. But I mean, in your opinion, and again, this is a discussion for us to have, was Obsidian Flames a hit or a miss? And has it really impacted the meta as much as we like? Or is it just 1 or 2 good cards? Or not even good cards, maybe 1 or 2 okay cards to throw in?
Well, I think no, there's been some good cards, like the Pidgeot. I think that when that got announced, I thought it would be great. I mean, the Charizard deck was one of the bigger things to come out that set, but I still think there's only it was a set where it was stuff was kind of shoehorned in from other stuff, and I think that overall there was just a few good cards.
But then sometimes you don't realize the power of something until 2 sets later. Something comes out. To like, no one was playing Shady Dealings until Scoop-Up Net.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
like you don't always know.
I mean, look at some of the cards we're using now. Like I said, the Cobalion all of a sudden from Silver Tempest, which is a set from nearly a year ago, November last year. That's now been put into
millions to Sam.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've not got any. I've looked.
I think I might have one.
Look at Cresselia.
Yeah, Cresselia is one of the key.
I always kept a play set of Cresselia because I knew it'd be good for something one day.
Shining Arcana, Guardy. no one knew really how good that. I mean, it was
Yeah,
good, but never saw any play. In
'Cause
a
you
meta where it's
never-
all 3 prizes,
it's-
you're not going to see the single prize of play, really, are you?
Mm.
But all of a
Not
sudden, you are
until
seeing now.
it's like the amazing rare Rayquaza, especially
Yeah,
the Raikou one. Like it literally only became good in the last like few months of its
Yeah.
release.
Yveltal.
Yeah, Veltal.
Nothing could power it up until Lugia came along.
Yeah, the same. Yeah, it's mental, isn't it? How a set can change. So I don't ever want to write anything off, but overall, when we look at, when we do look at the first meta of an Obsidian Flames, meta, especially going into the regionals, realistically, we're going to see the introduction of one new deck, which is Charizard, which also, whilst it was also hyped up, I don't think it's lived up to the hype. I think it's an okay deck. I think it's the same as Chen Pao.
Yeah,
No
I was
one's
just gonna say
actually
that.
no one's
thing is
nailed
with-
the 60 or the 57. No one's nailed like the 52, 57 cards like Gardevoir, which is they're the imperative cards, and the rest
We'll
of
have
the
to
cards
wait for
are techs.
We'll have to wait for the Pittsburgh, I think, for someone to come up with like the perfect Charizard. But I think really with Obsidian Flames, actually a lot of decks are unchanged. I mean, you've got Charizard, but look at Guardy. What's Guardy actually got from Obsidian Flames? Actually, nothing really. The decks changed somewhat just to adapt to the meta, but it's not gained any new cards.
Yeah.
Like it just adapts like it does. Like Mew, I don't think has. I mean, I play a Poppy just for that Greninja thing, but I mean it's one card. Like Chen Pao, what's that gain? A Pidgeot maybe. I think Pidgeot is probably the one card, support that is going to change decks the most. I think Pidgeot is the one for it. But yeah, other than that, it's not really. I mean, Vengeful Punch, it's not. I think Box of Disaster is better. Depends on the matchup, I suppose. But
I'm interested to see how many decks actually have Vengeful Punch in, how, because I mean deck lists are very, very tight.
I don't think there'll be a lot.
do. I think you might get 1 or 2. You'd never play 4 count, would you?
No,
And then
No.
And then
never
you've
play
got to
4
go.
count,
Got to
have
go.
you?
You've then got to find it as well.
Well, there's the
The new
Town
stadium,
Store?
is it Town
Yeah.
Town Store? Yeah.
There's Town Store and there's other ways. There's ways of fight. There's Arvin as well, but it's
Did that see him playing Mew? Did I see or
Arvin maybe for the
no Town Store? It seemed playing.
Yeah, it lets you get I've seen it in a few decks now because it lets you get your seal stones.
Yeah.
So it just lets you. I think I've seen it in Mew. I've actually seen it in Gardevoir as well with the Forest Seal Stone. I've seen it in Miraidon. I have seen it in a fair few. The one I want to try in Guardy, and it is a new card, is Pokemon League Headquarters.
Yeah, I knew you would say that.
I just want anything to stop bloody Sableye plays.
Doesn't really stop Sableye because they just Mirage Gate, and then I put it in, and then I tried to use Cresselia and forgot that I had it, and then I had to put another one. Yeah,
and then all of a sudden you're in cram range, then aren't you? Then if you think you're a Crest and you need to put 4 damage counters and you can only take 2 off, all of a sudden you're in Crest range. You're in cram range then.
Exactly. So it defeats the point.
I think late game, if you're attacking with an EX, it's good, but is it really gonna? I don't know. But I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I mean, we obviously discussed Worlds with Matt on the podcast, and we saw a lot of new. I mean, Miraidon seems to have jumped up popularity massively.
Yeah.
You look at. I mean, I remember just before EUIC last season, when Miraidon came out, and I think I tested it, and everyone and their next door neighbor was playing it with Regieleki VMAX to the point where Regieleki VMAX prices went through the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, I even said, I said to you guys, I really want Fluffy. It was just not enough space for it. Now it is Fluffy, Miraidon Fluffy.
Yeah,
it's weird how it all comes around. No,
because Raichu is the one that hits the big numbers, so you don't like.
Which, to be fair to Andy, in one of our first tabletop games ever, he ran Miraidon. I ran Guardy, he ran Miraidon, and he played it with Raichu actually. So,
and it did take a knockout.
Took a knockout. It did, yeah. it's a really good card, and it doesn't take much. And I think maybe with the Flaffy, you're less reliant on electric generators. Electric generators are also nice to have then, as opposed to actually a necessity, because that's what I always felt was, if you whiff an electric generator, you're dead in the water. And it's almost like the same with the diagonal magnezone. If you don't attack, power them up, you just sat in the water. But with the Flaffy and with attach for turn, I think you don't need it as much now. And I know you've still got I know it's 90 hit points, and I know it's Greninjas, Moonlight Shuriken is a thing.
Yeah.
But I still think it's a necessity. But yeah, I mean,
maybe
okay,
we should have a rematch.
Yeah, they're playing full path as well.
The updated deck lists.
That'd be a good one. Yeah.
Miraidon and Gardevoir.
So Jamie plays Gardevoir every week. I played Miraidon like a few times months ago.
I've played Miraidon recently.
But you're well versed with Gardy. That's what I'm saying. I'm not with Miraidon.
Looks like you're going to be playing some Miraidon in the future.
Miraidon, Ophay.
A lot of people, I know that both Marley brothers are on the Miraidon hype at the moment.
Yeah, I do want to build it.
Yeah. I think it's actually. I'd like to try it. It looks like it's a fun deck.
Yeah. And if you look at the top, I'd say
loads and sets up. But then
yeah.
If you
I think if you look at popularity, you need to play Flaff. I think you need to play Flaffies. The generators are again nice. But I was going to say, in terms of popularity, I think Miraidon's jumped up. Obviously, Andrew Mahone, Tricky Jim, him playing it at Worlds has put it up. And I think realistically, I'd say the top 3 most popular decks at the moment in the meta are probably, obviously, Lost Tina is just number 1 by an absolute mile.
But it never
Guardian Miraidon.
Lost Tina. I know it's has a lot of popularity in online tournaments at the moment, but when it comes to the big tournaments, the regionals, it never seems to show up. It's never in the.
I think when we're speaking about Pittsburgh, then I'll put my 2 cents about Tina in.
Is that what you're going to say then? You're going to say Lost Tina's going to win Pittsburgh?
It's gonna do. I don't think it'll win, but I think it's going to do really well.
The only thing that counts as Lost Tina is itself, because it either you can play Lost Tina and it plays well, or you just whiff everything. It doesn't really have a hard counter like a lot of other decks do.
Yeah,
it plays its own path.
I think the matchup spread
really
is incredible, basically.
Like talking about Lost Tina, what actually shuts it down? Is there anything that shuts it down? Because there's no big parasol at the moment for Star Requiem, and Sableye.
I think it shuts itself down.
Shuts itself down. So
speaking to a lot of people who play it, it's
like Lugia, I suppose.
It can brick.
The problem is if you get the Giratina out turn 1 and you've not got one to back it up, then you kind of at a risk of losing.
But then you can Abyss Seek, and Abyss Seek is actually really, really good. Even if you Abyss Seek for 2 turns, that's 4 on the loss, so maybe you Chorus, that's 6.
Yeah, but that's 2 Giratina gone.
Depends what you're playing against, I think.
Yeah, well, a lot of stuff will KO it.
And Al, you were saying it's not been really prominent in I know you said online, not in real life. Out the top 20 at the World's Championship, 4 decks made it into the 4 decks were Lost Tina. So a fifth of the decks in the top 20 in the World Championships were Lost Tina. So I think it is, and I just think that for me it's the spread of how favourable the matchup spread is just incredible. You look at if you do again, and I highly recommend it. Trying finding out Joe's videos on Omnipoke. Have a look at when he rates decks, etc. He does a really cool traffic light system of favourable, and he looks at the results. I mean, Tina's is just phenomenal. Tina's is just absolutely phenomenal. So I'm not surprised.
I think Pablo Mesa did Tablemon did a how to play as well. That's worth having a look at.
Okay, yeah, it is a tough deck to play. To be fair, it's a tough.
I think
deck to play.
You've got two decks. I think there's this and Gardevoir, Gardevoir has actually got a horrendous matchup spread where a lot of decks actually are favorable into it, but it genuinely does very well because it's a it's able to inch out wins on any deck with the right
And it's
players.
also
That's why
who
you always
plays
see
it
it
as
at the top.
well. Yeah, exactly, the right players. It's who plays
Yeah.
it as well. It can combat almost anything really.
Yeah.
Even
And then
Charizard, to be fair.
even Charizard, and like all you need is a reversal and your 6 energies, and then you get in you get in the knockout. So it's a very good deck, but just very, very hard to play. Whereas Lost Tina has an amazing matchup spread, but maybe it bricks too much and it's not as consistent as Guardi. I think it's between those two really. They're very different decks, but also kind of similar in their skill level. So
okay, I mean,
yeah.
Andy has said for the first regional of the season, Lost Teen is going to take the title. Kath, what deck are you saying is going to take the title? Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still always going to hold out hope that someone will take Clefairy, and now there's that Clefable. No, now there's that Clefable, and people for the win's done a video with it. LDF's done a video with it. Yeah. People are actually playing it now, so maybe.
Okay.
But if
so is
not,
that your guess? Mew. Fusion Mew, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to stay strong. Like Mew. It'll stay strong.
Mew just nothing can kill it. I mean, they printed Drapion and it's still, they printed Spiritomb and it's still there.
Still won world championships.
I'm actually looking forward to the Mew from 151, but that's for another episode.
That's for another episode, yeah.
Yeah.
So
what are you saying?
I think when you have a new meta, generally what wins is something that someone thinks up that we never thought of because it's a new meta. You know, even though we say that the only card worth playing is Pidgeot at the moment, which is not true, really. There's probably other cards where people put the combos together. I think maybe an Arceus deck, like Arceus paired with something from Obsidian Flames. Like Arceus is essentially a counter deck. You just pair it with things that are prevalent in the meta. I think I don't really want an Arceus deck to win because they're.
You're saying an Arc Pile then, yeah?
I think an Arc Pile, yeah. I think an Arc Pile will win.
Guys, have you realised that Alex's guesses are always the decks that he's playing?
Yeah.
But then so am I.
Yeah, to be fair.
Because I always think Gardevoir, and Gardevoir never wins anymore. They always come second. So it always surprises me.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, to be honest.
I'm just going to say Lost Box. I think
Lost
Box will win. No, I did think of Lugia, and a good player like Reagan Retzlaff pilots it incredibly well consistently. And it can hit. It covers every base. Like it just does cover every base. But it's all
I just
about.
don't think that it's
too easy though.
Yeah, you're not going to have. I don't think any player will be able to have a run where they can play perfectly every time and have a perfect game each game.
Well, my guess is a Lost Box. My guess is Turbo Lost Box, to be 100%, to be more specific. But again, like, just before we move on to the news, this is what I was discussing actually at Locals this week. This, in my opinion, isn't a great meta. No deck feels good, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's no, every single deck is prone to brick.
I think that's just because we're coming down from Vs and V stars and V maxes.
There's like a bit of a transition period.
We've been going super quick and then they've just slammed on the brakes.
But I've seen a lot of. I've seen a lot of people say that I think even Bert's TCG did a video recently about some of the cards that have ruined the game, and the general consensus, the two cards that people think have ruined the game more than anything is Path to the Peak.
Yeah.
It's Path to the Peak and Battle VIP Pass.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree. You know, you do put them in. You put them in. You're there to stop your opponent. I get that, but they're in exactly, and it's just, you know, Path is just Path, and then all you have to do is basically put things into counter Path, and it becomes a bit of a stale meta almost.
Well, I was telling Kath before. Oh, have you not thought about putting Path in Clefairy?
Path in everything.
Yeah.
Just put Path
I
in
mean,
absolutely everything.
it's true.
I put it in Lugia the other day because I just thought once I've done Summoning Star, I can then brick someone else.
Yeah.
Just it's in everything, and all it's like I said, all the meta now it changes to, how do we get out of Path? So, for example, like Alex mentioned before, Gardevoir is now a high level of Stadium's worker, and maybe a lost vacuum here and there, and I just don't think it's an enjoyable meta at this point in time. I think we need a rotation as quick as possible. We need to get rid of some Vs and VMAXs. We need to get rid of some of the cards like Path to the Peak, etc. And they need to start printing some better stuff now and some more interesting stuff to actually develop the meta. I mean, that's my opinion.
I can't think of a stadium that, because the stadium bump is the counter to Path, but there's nothing really. Like, I can't think of any stadium that I would like. Artisan is decent when you need it. It helps the other player though. Like Temple of Sinnohs, you can stop Lugia for one turn. Like, I can't think of, like, there isn't something that is on the level of Path that is so instrumental. Maybe Lost City is probably up there with Path in just Lost City in 2 routes or 2 countries or whatever. It's probably the only one that's up there with Path, but I can't think of any other stadium that is as good as Path at doing something like disrupting or whatever.
And there is some good there's some good stadiums out there. We just don't play them because you play Path, you play Collapse Stadium, you play Path. I think even Temple of Sinnoh's seen like less play now. And that should be a really, really good card. That is a fantastic stadium. It doesn't see play now because all people do is Path, Lost City, or Collapse.
Miraidon playing 4 Path now.
Yeah. I mean, you got to remember that look at Arc Gira. Arc Gira was just Judge Path. Yeah. 4 copies of Judge, 4 copies of Path, and basically set up as quick as possible, then just brick your opponent. Yeah. I mean, it took literally. I played it a couple of times, and it just takes no skill. It's like it's the most linear, and that's what I think with Arceus decks as well. They're also the most linear decks to run. There's no actual thought process. It's literally get Arc. It's
there is a counter for
Arc attach.
Is it what?
There is a counter for Path.
It's
Lunatone.
In decks. Yeah, in decks where it's so tight though. You can't afford to have it. That's the problem. Because if you think right, what are 2 things you're afraid of probably more than anything? When you come in against. So for example, let's just take it as
Path and
I play a lot of Guard. No, I'm just saying as a Gardevoir player, Path and Moonlight Shuriken from Greninja. Yeah.
No, because Moonlight Shuriken you can get out of with Manaphy, but you can't get out of Sableye.
That's my example. Sorry. So all of a sudden, if for example you're playing a deck, so you're playing Gardevoir, you're playing Lugia, if you're playing anything really, to be 100% honest, and you want to fit in the Lunatone and Soul Rock combo to stop Path, then you've also got a Manaphy. You've ended up got 2 bench space and 1 active.
Yeah.
It's just it's not feasible. It's not feasible, and it's a shame really because they are printing interesting cards, and I've kept a few of them just in case we need them in the future. But there's just no space for them whatsoever, and they're also psychic, so they should be at home in a psychic deck, and you can't because there's just 0 point unless Gardevoir starts running 4 Path, and then we have that instead of Cresselia and Mew, I guess. I don't know. It's a difficult one.
I think they should have just. I mean, I know you got Pumpkaboo, but you just put that down. Then they just put the Path down. I guess before you could scoop up and just put it down again. But I think they should have the Soul Rock Lunatone package. I think they just should have had it as 1 Pokemon. Just put it on the bench like a Manaphy. Like a bench space. 1 bench space is fine.
No. 1 bench space is fine, but then that would be no. I think that's too much. Then having it on 1 Pokemon's too powerful. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And
put
so
it on an
EX. So
put it on an EX
then. Tangent anyway.
Put it on an EX like a 2-prizer. Then that it's a liability, but you're helping you with your Path. But then I guess Path was shut it down. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Path shuts down a lot of things, you know. Path shuts down a Alolan Vulpix that I made the mistake of in a cup or a league challenge.
Path helps you with the Alolan Vulpix, yeah.
Yeah, well, I learned that, but I didn't. I scooped because I didn't think. I thought, oh, I can't. Anyway, as Andy said, we're on a bit of a tangent. So yeah, no, I mean, we've got some more stuff. It's interesting. So I mean, obviously, next time we catch up next week, we'll be able to talk about Pittsburgh, and we'll also then be a week closer, and we'll be a week away from 151, which I'm really looking forward to as well. I think this kind of I'd say mid-season. It's not even mid-season. Like this mid-release in between the sets is actually really good, because I thought Obsidian Flame was really, really poor. Like I don't even want the boot. Like when you go and play now at locals, you get packs. I don't even want Obsidian Flame. There's nothing I want. I don't know how Paldea Evolved to get more Ionos, because they ain't going anywhere. So yes, I'm looking forward to 151, and obviously we'll talk about we will definitely talk about our thoughts about Pittsburgh, the first regional of the season, and also we will talk about the impending release of 151. The other thing, just quickly before we move on, is have you guys seen how many people have been filling the spots at these regionals? I think they're just like absolutely. I think
saw that there was some
Pittsburgh. Is it Pittsburgh? Is it 2,000 people?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is the biggest regional event ever, and it also is the biggest Pokemon event ever.
Right.
It's gonna. I'm sure it's Pittsburgh, but then also they had an issue with, was it Barcelona, the special event where they only had 300 spaces for Masters.
Really?
And they've now, and their argument was, well, people, can we ask people who have booked a space who're not going to come, can you please give your space up and we'll re-release them? They've actually since now gone and spoken to the venue, and they've actually got, I think, I'm not sure if they've increased the venue or what, etc. I'm not massively close to it because I can't afford to go to Barcelona at the moment. But they've definitely increased the amount of seats now, so I think it's closer to 500 now. But it's mental that they even thought, and this, considering how many prizes, etc. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, with the hype's not going away, is it? The hype's not going away.
No, it's just going to keep breaking the last record. Like
exactly.
I'd be really surprised that if the end of this new season, if we're not hitting nearly 2,500 people.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was talking about it the locals again on Monday about EUIC, because remember there was 3 waves released for EUIC. I got on wave 2 and you guys got on wave 3, but it was like literally touch and go. Everyone was like, no. A lot of people think there's going to be no issue getting spots because there's going to be so many spots, and I still think there will be. I hope
definitely will be.
Yeah, well, we've got our place booked, so we definitely need to get it.
Yeah, we definitely need to. Yeah.
Yeah. But then moving on, obviously I mentioned 151, but after 151 we've also got Paradox Rift, and we've had some cards revealed in Japan from Raging Surf, which is basically it's going to be incorporated into our Paradox Rift set in November. So the cards, I mean, we'll go through them. I don't think many blow us away as of yet, but I think there's still going to be some more interesting cards coming out. Obviously, when we do this, we do go through all the single prizes and the small cards, etc. And obviously, thanks to Beach, Justin Basil, for the translations, because we wouldn't know what they do otherwise. But starting, we've got Lapras, which is a basic Pokemon Water, HP 110, 1 colorless. Into the deep, put up to 3 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. And for a water colorless, freeze, dry, 50 damage, flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. That's probably going to be good in Chien-Pao, I guess. That's probably, is that better
if that
than...
Into the Deep was an ability, that'd be amazing.
That'd be broken. That'd be broken.
Amazing.
Exactly.
Chien-Pao go and getting them from the deck, and then this go and getting them from the pile.
Honestly, Kat, Chien-Pao players are so privileged. They've got Baxcalibur, who could literally attach any amount of water energy with no issue whatsoever, no restrictions, and They still want more. Honestly, you can't get. Yeah, but yeah, I still think I still think that'd be pretty good if you can get it. If you can get that onto the bench, get it into the active, one colorless. I think that'd be quite good actually. Maybe in a game where it's a bit slower paced, so like a Lost Box game maybe. And it's you don't, then you can still use an item as well. So that's you've still got your item for superior. But obviously you can search this out, can't you, with Nest Ball? So that'd be good. We've also then got the Remoraid, basic Pokemon, nothing of note there really. A 10 damage for 20. Well, it says on the card 10, but it says here 20 damage, but it's a colorless for very little. Then we've got Octillery. It's got an ability Suction Draw. Once during your turn, when you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may draw 3 cards. And for a water and colorless, Smoke Bomb, 60 damage during your opponent's next turn. If the defending Pokemon tries to attack, your opponent flips a coin. If tails, that attack fails. So I quite like that.
That would be good if there was
the ability's good.
If there's a scoop up net, it would be good.
Yeah.
It's no Octillery from the Rapid Strike Octillery, is it?
No.
But it's still pretty cool, and the artwork is really cool as well. Obviously, it's like the kind of like if you can see, I'll just zoom in. There you go. You can see that. I love that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So then moving on, we've got a Minun and a Plusle. Basically, they've also got the art rares for these, so it's pretty cool. But basically, Plusle is a basic lightning Pokemon, HP 70 for 2 colorless, damage plus 10 plus damage. This attack does 10 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So again, quite good, quite like that for but the only thing is two colorless. But
it's similar to
I could see this being played in Miraidon.
Yeah, finish something off really, because I think with Miraidon you can hit hard 220 with 220 with Miraidon, and then I think it's like 200 with Raikou as well, isn't it? I think the Raichu is the big hitter there.
Or if you're playing against Gardevoir, that's already full of damage counters anyway.
Yeah.
Finish it off, finish it off. So that'd be cool. I don't know if you will actually see play, but we'll see. But then you've also got the Minun, which is again another lightning basic Pokemon, HP 70, but it's got the ability Buddy Pulse. If you have Plusle in play, whenever your opponent attaches an energy from their hand to one of their Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. You can't apply more than 1 Buddy Pulse ability at a time. So again, that really good, it links obviously the synergy between the Plusle and the Minun's pretty cool. Helps put those damage counters on there. And then for one lightning energy, it's Speedball, which is just 20 damage.
It's good against Gardevoir actually, because Gardevoir is able to hit big numbers because it attaches from hand to the Gardevoirs to be able to hit the 273.
Gardevoir attaches from the discard pile.
No, but you need to manually attach to be able to get 7 or 8. That would stop that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, it'd be interesting to see. And the artwork again, really, really cool. You can see there's two trainers. I call them still call them trainer galleries. The art rares now, aren't they? So that's really cool. And I think if you look at them, they're on the same table, the other side. You put them next to each other, so which is pretty cool. It's an Okacheke artwork. Okacheke does fantastic artwork. I've got a lot of his cards just set aside anyway. Then you've got Gimmighoul. We've actually got 2 Gimmighoul's here. So we've got both basics. Basic one, Call for Family, HP 50 for 1 colorless. Call for Family, search your deck for a basic Pokemon, put it onto your bench and shuffle your deck, and then for 2 colorless, Corkscrew Punch, 20 damage. Then you've got another Gimmighoul, which is HP 70 this time, but for 1 colorless energy, continuous coin toss, 20 damage, flip a coin until you get heads. This attack does 20 damage for each heads. Again, we've seen this before. Don't think you'll see much play, but it does.
I'm just gonna say, I really hate, and I really think it's a cop out how they're printing 2 of the same Pokemon in a set.
Yeah, well, I mean, do you not think it was a cop out in Obsidian Flame that they reprinted Arven and T?
Yeah. That really annoys me when there's I think they've put like Lechonk and Ankalone in.
I was just gonna say Lechonk
every single set.
It's so many times now, and the sets are massive already. It's not like they have to make them bigger. Yeah. Anyway, rant over. From Gimmighoul, we've also got Goldengo, EX, which is a stage 1 Pokemon, metal type, HP 260. It has the ability bonus coins. Once during your turn, you may draw 1 card. If this Pokemon is in the active spot, draw 2 cards instead. And for 1 metal energy, make it rain, 50 damage. Discard any number of basic energy cards from your hand. This attack does 50 damage for each card discard in this way.
So this just rinses Chempow.
Yeah.
Well, anything metal rinses Chempow.
Oh, well,
I think the Caesar rinses Chempow because the amount of ability Pokemon you've got on the bench. But yeah, I don't know.
I think this
it's
is
a draw.
Good...
I like the fact that you can draw and it doesn't need to be inactive because obviously it's like fleet-footed, but it needs to be inactive. So you can draw. I like that. And
if you have a couple of these, or even 3 you're drawing 4 cards. You're just drawing 4 cards without having to discard.
And if you superior energy retrieval, get 4 energies back into your hand, and then it does 200 damage. You know, and I don't know. It's
for 1 energy.
For one energy.
For 1 metal energy,
yeah. It'd be interesting, but it's obviously a 2-prizer. We also have another EX. So Hooper EX is a fighting basic Pokemon. So that's quite interesting. It's fighting. Hooper, 220 HP. Again, that 220, not great because everything hits for 220 at the moment, as Andy said last week. It's a Terra-type Pokemon, which we won't talk about. But for 2 Dark Energy Crush, 50 times damage. This attack does 50 damage for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon in play. And then for 3 Dark Energy, Scoundrel Fist, 200 damage. But this Pokemon can't use this attack, Scoundrel Fist again next turn. I always liked Hooper as a Pokemon. I think it looks cool. I hope they do a really cool art rare for it, which I will collect because I like the look of those Pokemon.
He has got one from Crown Zenith, I think.
He has, yes, he does, yeah. But I think he deserves a better one. But the terrestrialized ones are never great, though, are they? That's the problem. So, we'll see. But what do you think about Energy Crush? 50 times damage and does 50 damage for each of your so for each energy attached to all your opponent's Pokemon in play. So it might be funny if you.
Starmie doesn't see massive amount of play, to be honest. So,
but look at I think Starmie should be played more, and I think this should be played potentially as well. But I just think in Gardevoir, the amount of times, how many times have they bossed up someone, like you've put all your energy onto a Gardevoir, and then they boss up like a Radiant Greninja. And you've got no energy and you can't Psychic Embrace and you've got no switch out. The only problem is it's got to go into a dark deck. It's a fighting type, which is weak to Psychic. I don't think this will see any play. I could be proven wrong, and I hope I'm proven wrong because I love Hooper. But the fact is that you need it in a dark energy deck, and
Dark Patch work with it? I don't think Dark Patch works with it, does it?
No, because it's a fighting
Pokemon.
Yeah, I think to be honest, I think all these cards that accelerate only to the type that it is, it wasn't made with terrestrialization in mind at the time, because obviously it was before. So I think they'll probably like, if this Pokemon requires dark energy, then put it on like, I think something similar like that, because otherwise these like Tyranitar, these Hoopers, like these even Charizard can't magma basing, but it doesn't need to, I suppose. But like there's a lot of cards that are actually hindered by the fact that they're not the same type as the energy it needs.
Yeah, agreed. Yep. So moving on, then we've got a Nickit, basic darkness type Pokemon, HP 70 for 1 colorless, surprise attack, 30 damage, flip a coin. Tails attack does nothing. And then we've got another Thievul, darkness type, stage 1, which obviously evolves from Nickit, HP 110. Ability, Sneaky Snatch. Once during your turn, when you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may look at your opponent's hand, choose 2 energy cards you find there, and have your opponent shuffle them to your deck. And then for 2 colorless, slash 70 damage. I like the idea, but I don't think you'll see play.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of it, but I just don't think you'll see play, unfortunately. And then we've also got 2 trainers that have been announced. So we've got Chantal, if I'm saying that right, A supporter, flip a coin. If heads, switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. If tails, switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. They seem to be going. I don't even know who.
It's a bad
she's
boss,
from.
really, isn't it?
Where's she from? What game is she from?
Pokemon.
Well, I'd hope Pokemon, because I knew it's the Pokemon TCG you were talking about.
What, black and white, maybe?
I'd say it probably would be black and white, because they seem to be going that direction, don't they? Obviously with Getsis as well,
Unless
and the rumored black and white.
she's not in
remakes.
Scarlet and Violet. She's not one of the teachers, is she?
No.
She's got a load of books.
Yeah, I think she's from black.
And white.
So what is it?
Or-
Flip
oh,
a
no.
coin if
No,
heads,
she's an
flip a
Elite
coin.
Four member from black.
Okay, yeah.
I think they're different in white.
Oh, okay, yeah. I still think they're definitely the fact that they're doing all this black and white, these characters, I think they're bringing the game back. I think this is their little tease. Like
I was in
Getsis.
TEX the other day and I saw it on the shelf. They had Y, X and Y, and black and white. I was like, it
How
was like
much?
28 quid still.
Jeez.
Still, that's not bad actually. I've got black. No, I've got white too. But I just got the cartridge. I've got X or Y. I think Alex bought me Y for my birthday years ago actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had all of them, but I got rid of a load of them. I just had to rebuy them again. That's the problem, and pay through the bloody nose. But yeah, no, this is the supporter again. Pokemon seem to love. They seem to love a good coin flip, don't they? Pokemon, and they're
It's
still
just a
pushing
bad
it
coin
in.
flip. Like
It's a
heads,
bad.
Yeah.
if it's
like
heads, it's a
capturing
boss.
aroma.
Yeah.
It's like capturing aroma when you want a specific Pokemon.
Yeah,
It's
you'll get
50%
the
chance, and then yeah, exactly.
But
Happens
at least you
immediately
get to
day.
get a Pokemon. With this one, it's either you get to boss or
you get to retreat.
You get a switch for your supporter. Which
Well,
is
what if you
good,
don't? What if you really
Yeah.
don't? If you switch, you've got nothing.
yeah, you just don't use it.
Don't use it. And then we have another supporter called Parasol Lady. Shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 4 cards. If you go second, it's your first turn. Draw until you have 8 cards instead.
Is that a reprint?
Maybe Parasol Lady. I don't think what it is. No. The only thing I will tell you is waifu lovers love some waifus. So that card is going to be an expensive card, just the way Miriam was, even though it didn't see any play. It's just Miriam was a very expensive card, and I think Parasol Lady will be an expensive card too. Yeah. Unfortunately. So then we've also got some more Pokemon. Again, more single prizes. Run through them again. Still, they're going to be, they're going to be in our Paradox Rift.
I don't think we have to go through the bulk, so we'll just go through the ones that are actually playable.
But these are both from 2 starter sets. So there's a starter set Terrestrial Mewtwo EX and a starter set Terrestrial Skeledirge EX, which are going to be released alongside Raging Surf on September 22nd. These obviously, it's just again the same. I think these decks are going to be just shoved into our Paradox Rift.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's the one I will talk about. So we've got Natu, nothing to talk about there, but Xatu. So Psychic Stage 1, HP 100, ability. I've got to say this: Akashic Sense.
Yep.
Once during your turn, you may attach a basic psychic energy from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon. If you do, draw 2 cards.
Yeah, good.
Decent.
That's decent. I think that's pretty good. If you think of a refinement where you're discarding a card and you're discarding a card and drawing 2, this is attaching basic energy from your hand.
I wonder if there's like space for once Curlier rotates. If there was something, there'll be a Curlier again, the same kind of Curlier, or maybe Xatu. Like
maybe you can only attach once per turn, whereas refinement you can refinement as many times as you've got a Curlier. Really,
you're attaching twice per turn.
Attaching twice, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I still think it's very good. 100 HP, so it's out of range of Greninja, but it's not out of range of everything else.
It's not levelable, searchable either.
Sableye.
It's not level Sableye or Cramorant. That's what we're thinking of these days. But yeah, I still think that ability is really good. That's really, really good.
Yeah.
We've also got a Deoxys, basic psychic Pokemon, HP 120. 1 psychic energy, 30 damage, but 3 psychic energy, Genome Spiral, 120 damage. Move all energy attached to this Pokemon to your bench Pokemon any way you like.
I don't think it'll see play.
I like it though. I like it. If they get knocked out, you're not worrying about the energy. You're spreading it around. Still quite like
Similar
it.
to the Gallade where you can move an energy. Does that include like special energy? Is it basic energy only?
Move all energy.
Maybe you could put it. Maybe you could put it in Gardevoir and then just load a bunch of energy and then put it onto a Shining Arcana to then be able to hit big numbers. I don't know if that's.
I love Deoxys as a Pokemon though.
It is a cool Pokemon too.
So cool.
Maybe gets a nice illustration, right?
Fingers crossed. Heat Rotom, nothing spectacular. 100 damage, but does 40 to itself. Volcanion, for 1 fire energy, dual turbo, 20 damage, but choose up to 2 of your bench Pokemon. Attach 1 basic fire energy from your discard pile to each of them. Again, quite handy in Charizard, I guess. It's quite handy in Charizard if you need it. And then for 4 energy, which is 1 fire and 3 colorless, heavy impact, 120 damage. Again, don't think it's going to see much play. It's very for 120.
Yeah.
I guess it's
to be doing 240.
It's a basic.
Yeah,
it's a basic single prizer though. If it's doing 240 for 4 energy, everyone would play it. It's a basic single prizer. I think it balances out, be it for being able to just put it on your bench without having to evolve it and single prize it. Yeah.
We also have another Gengar line being released in Raging Surf / Paradox
With
Rift.
awesome art.
With awesome art. Yeah. All the Gengars are awesome art, to be fair.
Yeah.
Ghastly, nothing spectacular. Nothing, yeah, that Haunter's awesome. So Ghastly, nothing spectacular.
Missed opportunity. Will-O-Wisp doesn't burn. Should burn.
It doesn't burn, yeah, it should do, yeah. Haunter, 2 energy, 1 dark, 1 colorless, Dark Slumber, 40 damage, and your active Pokemon is now asleep. And for the people watching on YouTube, I'm going to just show you the artwork if it loads.
I don't understand. I mean, this is just with the TCG, but why do they have the weakness to fighting? Fighting is 0 effective against it, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't affect it, so why is it a weakness?
Because it's.
If anything, if we're going by their logic. Yeah, but if it's dark, it should be grass by their logic. Which doesn't make sense either.
Yeah, true. That artwork's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure if it's better than the artwork from the 151 we're getting. I still love that artwork.
That is really cool, yeah.
That's really cool. And then we've got the Gengar. So HP 130 for a stage 2. Ability Night Gate. Once during your turn, you may switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. And for a dark energy and a colorless energy, Nightmare, 100 damage. And your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. I think that's quite cool because it'll obviously get rid of... You basically can't be... Yeah, basically, yeah. You can basically, if you get... I mean, how many times have you bet you boss someone up just to try and stall them? So, yeah. But yeah, and the artwork is amazing there, to be fair.
That's really cool. I really hope that they make a meta, like a super meta relevant Gengar.
Gengar is seeing play again. I've played 2 of them in the past couple of months. Yeah. Played 2 of them in the past couple of months. A Pokemon that I completely forgot existed is also getting another card in Paradox.
I didn't even know it existed.
Minior, so it's a fighting Pokemon. Basic, HP 70. The ability is Flying Meteor. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is on your bench, when you attach an energy card from your hand to this Pokemon, you may switch this Pokemon with your active Pokemon.
The illustration rare is really good.
Oh, it's amazing, yeah. And then for its attack, it's 1 colorless Gravity Tackle, 20 times damage, and this attack does 20 damage for each. It says I think it's for each colorless energy in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. Again,
I think I saw someone that said if you ever need to counter or hard counter blocks Snorlax, which has 4 energy retreat cost, then use this Pokemon. Other than that, I think it's pretty pointless. If it had a retreat cost of 1,
Slacking has it. I think that even this card itself has 2.
Yeah, if it had for a basic that is basically a Jet Energy Pokemon, you should have 1 retreat cost. That would be much better, I think.
Agreed. And then there you go. As for the people watching on YouTube, here's the illustrator art rare, whatever you call it now. Again, I can't even remember this Pokemon. I forgot this Pokemon existed. But what a cool artwork that is. It's been a while, hasn't it, since there's been a Minior card. Not as much as Bonsly. Do you remember Bonsly? We got our first Bonsly in like 15 years in Obsidian Flame. I've kept one just in case. We've also got, again, a couple more legendary Pokemon announced, all single prizes. So Palkia, basic HP of 130 water Pokemon. 2 colorless, teleportation burst, 30 damage, and you may switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. And for 1 water and 2 colorless, prize count 80 plus damage. And if you have more prize cards remaining in your opponent, this attack does 80 more damage. 160 for 3, not amazing. Health isn't amazing either. Like weakness to lightning. We've also got Zekrom, again the exact same, HP 130, basic Pokemon. For 1 colorless, shorting crash, 20 damage. Before doing damage, discard all Pokemon tools from your opponent's active Pokemon. And for 2 lightning and 1 colorless, raging thunder, 130 damage. But this attack does 40 damage to one of your benched Pokemon. The tool card thing, I feel that that's not bad if you've got it out and you can all of a sudden get rid of, cleansing gloves, you can get rid of choice belts, you can get rid of and everything really. The stones are obviously the big one. It's TMs, obviously we've spoken about TMs in the past. Are TMs classed as tools? I suppose that helps as well. Yeah. That helps as well. For one, it just helps get rid of them because it's discard. And as far as I'm aware, there's nothing to get tools back from discard. Is there?
No.
Not that I know of.
Backup, I think. You can get a tool.
Silene
and Razan's backup, yeah. That's probably the 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I wonder.
Cards don't see play.
That don't see play. Well, Silene used to see play, yeah. And then we have a Zacian. So again, we have another Zacian. Metal HP of 120 for 1 metal energy, Iron Howl, 30 damage, and attach a basic metal energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. For 2 metal energies and a colorless, Brave Blade, 130 damage, but during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack.
Oh, underwhelming, to be honest, I think.
Yeah. I think a lot of them, just saw a comment there, someone saying, I think, for GLC, it'll be good. I think a lot of these cards, and the fact that they're now starting to potentially take GLC a bit more seriously, Pokemon, I think maybe they may start doing things like that, but you never know. And the last 2 that have been announced are a Snorunt, which is a basic water Pokemon of HP 60, and for 1 water energy, Ice Shard, 10 plus damage, and if your opponent's active Pokemon is a fire Pokemon, this attack does 30 more damage. So that's okay, I guess. And then Groudon, another legendary Pokemon, fighting type, HP 130. For 1 colorless, overflowing power, attach a basic fighting energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. And for 2 fighting a colorless, Magma Purge, 60 times damage. You may discard up to 4 energy from your Pokemon, and this attack does 60 damage for each card discarded this way. So that's not actually bad for a single prizer. That can hit 240 from anywhere. So if there's a way of, the problem is it's fighting, and there's not there's not an amazing way to get energy attached there really, unless you again Arceus. You've got Gutsy Koraidon for Dino Cry, and you've got Gutsy Pickaxe, but again that's a risk. However, the thing is
no Baxcalibur.
It's no Baxcalibur, no. But then we do have the amazing art rares of these. So this is the Groudon. Oh, got a bit too close. I think that's amazing. It's been a while since we've had a good Groudon artwork. And then this is the Snorunt, who just looks as happy to be alive. Just looks happy to be alive. That is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that's so far. That's all the cards that have for Raging Surf, which obviously will be our Paradox Rift. I think the only other thing that did get noted, if I can find my phone with the notes on. Where's my phone? I hid it so that it wouldn't make a noise in the mic. There's the capsule that I sent over a couple of weeks ago. I think it's been, sorry, it's very professional. I think Alex might have to edit this out. which is good for me. Yeah, so there's been a Roaring Moon EX collection box that has been announced, which obviously you get a Roaring Moon EX, you get but the card that you get inside it as well is a Pokemon tool called Ancient Boost Energy Capsule. So the maximum HP of ancient Pokemon attached to this card will be increased by plus 60, and the Pokemon will not be affected by any special conditions. So as we discussed, we think this is going to obviously be how they start to incorporate the ancient and future Pokemon to start actually being a mechanic. The worry, I think, amongst the community is this just another Rapid Strike, Single Strike?
Yeah,
well, it's just random cards.
That's the first thing I thought when they brought out them ancient and future Pokemon cards. I just thought, oh, it's just Rapid Strike, Single Strike, and Fusion Strike all over again.
I mean, Fusion should have been awesome, but it really hasn't been great, has it? I know it's obviously Fusion Mew, but there's not much else really, has there? No, I don't think really. So that, that's another card. At least they're mixing it up really. I think we discussed, maybe off cam and off podcast, we discussed Screaming Tail being a good option for Gardevoir because the amount of damage it can do, and if this gets another 60 HP, I think it can do a lot more damage and hit some high numbers. So there's going to be some plays. It's going to be an interesting time. I'm looking forward to it, but I do think this is going to fall a bit flat. And I think really, if it was just ancient and future Pokemon they announced at Worlds, I think it would have fell flat. The fact that they mentioned and the return of A-Spec, I think that's going to be the big thing, and that's early 2024, which is only 4 months away. So we're not a million miles away from that. So I think overall looking forward to, I think, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, looking forward to 151, looking forward to Paradox Rift, but I think I'm looking forward to rotation even more in the future.
It's going to be February, March maybe next year.
Yeah, I believe it'll be the end of March, I believe. So I'd say probably EUIC will be the first tournament post rotation, just as it was last season with the first. It was the first tournament, I believe, was it post rotation? Yeah. So I think we're going to go back onto that. Okay, so moving on to the next segment of the podcast, I'm going to pass over to Al for RTFC this week.
I think it's an RTFC that we've actually had in the past. I think
you didn't adhere to it though, did you?
Didn't adhere to it, so we didn't learn. But the RTFC is Box of Disaster, and this came because actually I put it in my Arceus deck, as many Arceus decks have it. And I thought, if I put it on a Pidgey on turn 1 or turn 2, that incentivizes people from like bossing up or hitting it and like get hit into something else instead. So I put it in a couple of games, and actually, to be fair, some people did avoid the Pidgey with the Box of Disaster because they're not reading it. But essentially what it says is if the Pokemon V this card is attached to has full HP and is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, put 8 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. The main point is if the Pokemon V this card is attached to, and obviously Pidgey, or Pidgey EX, Pidgeot EX, neither of them are Pokemon V. So it does nothing.
But like you say,
lesson learned.
Probably did put a couple of people off.
Yeah.
They don't know what it does either.
Maybe they're thinking, does he know something that I don't? Maybe I'll just...
lesson learned the hard way. Cool. Okay. Well, I think that wraps it up for this episode, and thanks for that, everyone. Has anyone got anything else they want to add before we wrap up, or we'll catch you all next week? Nope. All good. Brilliant. Well, I want to thank you all for joining me again this week. It's been a pleasure talking to you all. And again, I want to thank everyone for listening to us and watching us on YouTube and iTunes and Spotify, etc. We really appreciate it. If you could obviously if you want to follow us on our socials, the best way to do it is on our Twitter account, which is @TrainingCourt. We also have an Instagram account, which is @TrainingCourtTCG. The best place to watch us is on YouTube. So it's Training Court TCG on YouTube. Please give us a like and subscribe, and again, drop a comment, let us know what you think of the podcast, anything you want to discuss. We love interacting with our community, so please, keep it up, so we really appreciate it. If you want to listen to us, we are on Podbean, so it's the trainingcourt.podbean.com, or if you want to listen to us on iTunes or on Spotify, if you just go onto the respective apps and type in the Training Court TCG, you'll be able to find us. Again, on those platforms, if you can give us a review, let us know. Again, any comments, anything you want us to raise, that'll be brilliant. I want to thank you all again for joining me. I look forward to speaking to you all next week. Take care.